Hello, welcome to Aware. The purpose of this mod is to give you a look into the mind of your survivor. If you're like me, you've lived vicariously through the lives of thousands. You've trekked the vast expanse of Knox County, taking out the infected, scavenging for food. You survived the stinging snowfall of winter without power, and the blistering sun and the summer heat, managing the last bit of water you have. And while we can build stories in our heads and try to put ourselves in the shoes of our survivor, we can't peek into their minds or read their thoughts. Aware is here to change that. The concept is straightforward. I need to track what the player does throughout the in-game day from when they wake up until they fall asleep. I achieved this using in-game event hooks. Essentially, the game allows you to hook onto certain events that take place. For example, when a player kills a zombie, that triggers the event on zombie dead, and any other mod that has hooked onto that event will be notified. There are several in-game events that I'm listening to, some important and some mundane. The main ones were to track what the player ate and drank, what medications and medical aid they administered, their injuries, and how many zombies they killed. Once the player sleeps, all this information is collected and is saved to a file, which is then consumed by another program I wrote. The next piece is writing the software that listens to the file changes. This part is simple. I wrote a basic console app that listens for any changes made to the file mentioned earlier. It waits a second, and then it reads and parses the content. This leads to the last and most important piece. Adding mock sentience to our survivor through an LLM. I achieved this by hosting a lightweight LLM using Olama. The parse data is given to the LLM with a prompt to keep the tone short and human-like, which is then fed back to Project Zomboid for us to read. As of right now, the system is kind of hacky. I couldn't figure out how to make HTTP calls within Project Zomboid framework. However, it is functional. And so without further ado, I present to you Aware. For the next 2 days, we are playing as Peter Van Cleese. For the occupation, I chose police officer, and I think I offset it with slow reading and maybe clumsy. I forget exactly which two I chose, but yeah, really my intention in the beginning was to try to find a backpack or a duffel bag as fast as I could, find some food and some water or soda, and maybe some bandages, head over to the police station and grab some weapons, and then end up at the fire station. Once there, I had hoped to clear that out and then kind of barricade the second floor and use that as my temporary base, just for the first, few days until I can kind of build up my supplies. Alright, so here we're coming up on our first zombie. This is my first playthrough using the mod outside of 5 minutes of testing. So I figured we could keep a kill counter to see how accurate Peter's recollection is. And there we have our first kill. While looting the building next to us, we're going to get our second kill. We're going to get our third kill. And we're going to get our fourth. After that, we do some general looting, see what we can find in the house, and make our way to the next location. Should also mention I found some hair dye and I dyed my hair. After that, I found another house to loot, ended up running into a few more zombies and got a few more kills. Then afterwards, ended up just running away because more and more kept coming. Then I made my way over to another building. This was right across the street. Luckily found an open window. Was able to find some orange soda, drank that. Did some laundry because all my clothes were super dirty. Cleaned myself. Then I read a book on electricity. Switched the washer mode over to dryer. Dried my clothes. And then after that, I filled up my canteen. Then I heard a zombie break in, so took care of him and got my 9th kill. and read another book. I found some sausage in the freezer, so I cooked that and ate it. And while that was cooking, I continued reading a bit. Then I decided it was time to head over to the fire station and ran into these two, but missed my first hit and then just got pretty beat up. So I ran back to the house, and then once inside, I was able to take care of this zombie, which was my 10th kill. So I made my way upstairs and started treating all my wounds. As you can see, I had some cuts, some bleeding, and critical damage, and I almost died. I mean, I was in pretty rough shape, but luckily I had already found some Band-Aids, and I found some alcohol wipes to disinfect the wounds. So I treated those, and then I realized that it was already too late to head over to the fire station, so I took some sleeping tablets and then rested so that I could take that on the next day. And we'll be able to see the mod working shortly. So once the player wakes up, in the background we kick off the process of reading what happened the day before and processing it through the LLM, and then the player will alert you when they've finished collecting their thoughts, and then you get to read it. Unfortunately, the pop-up got cut off, so I'm just going to display what the actual note said and then read it. Today feels like a heavy echo of yesterday. The sun rises, but it doesn't bring the same warmth it used to. I remember the clock striking 11:20, a moment etched into my mind with the sound of gunshots and the sight of fallen bodies. I killed 10, and survival once again demanded I tend to my wounds, disinfecting, bandaging, repeating. My hand, arm, and neck, they scream in protest, but the pain is familiar now. I consumed what was left, a meager meal of cherry, orange soda, radish, cabbage, and sausage. I dressed myself, donning gloves, sweater, pants, shoes, a tie, remnants of a world long lost. Reading books on electricity, engineering, first aid has become my solace, but the knowledge feels useless in this new reality. I took sleeping tablets, hoping to find respite from the relentless fatigue that grips me each day. As I close my eyes, the weight of the world presses down, but sleep is a welcome escape. Another day has passed, and another night begins. The cycle continues, marked by blood, bandages, and the hollow taste of survival. So overall, I feel like the dialogue is pretty accurate. The zombie kill count was correct. Everything that Peter said he put on, he did actually put on. The food that he ate was all correct. Everything made sense. The only thing that I did find missing was the hair dye, but that's okay. I mean, it's not something massive. I can see it in the logs, but for whatever reason, the LLM did not pick up on that fact. So again, I'm happy with how that first night went. I did notice that I think I have the order kind of mixed up as far as like sleep and wake cycles. So really the way that it should work is the player wakes up and, in game is writing down his thoughts about the previous day. But the way that it read was he's writing down the note like before he goes to sleep. But that's a minor change to make. And we also have to fix the pop-up not displaying in the right spot. But that should be pretty simple. Now, for the rest of the playthrough, I did not make any changes. I just kept going to see how the next day would go and how the next thought would play out. So the next day, my focus was to go to the police station and grab some weapons. I unfortunately did not find a duffel bag or a backpack or really anything to store stuff temporarily, but that's okay. I mainly wanted to focus on having the means to defend myself or clear out, a bunch of zombies quickly. And so the police station I knew would be the best bet for that. So I went there, got my second kill, found a shotgun, crept up to the side of the building, another zombie popped up, got my third kill. You can see a bunch started popping up here. I busted out the window, hopped in, opened up the door, got another kill, and I lucked out because this guy had a key to the rest of the station, which meant that I wouldn't have to find someone else that already had a key. Basically sped up the process so that I can get to the locked armory on the other side of the building. Got a couple more kills here, Got those doors open and started looting. Found a bunch of guns, some ammo, no silencers. So for the time being, I knew I wasn't going to use them, but I at least had them. And what I didn't want to carry, I just left there. So I finally made my way out of the police station and hopped the fence, ran over to the fire station to clear it out and start setting up base. Immediately ran into a few zombies, got a couple more kills. Opened up this door to find way more than I'd expected. For some reason, there was a party in the bathroom. Felt like forever, but finally cleared out everyone that was there, including this guy in this closet. So then I cleared out the rest of the building and started tending to my wounds. The bandages had gotten dirty and had to replace them. Took off my cool gas mask, laid out some clothes. My idea was to kind of lay out my gear, but then I decided actually maybe I should clean off my clothes because they're all kind of dirty and nasty and covered in blood. So back to washing clothes again. Then I cleaned myself off in the sink, found a little snack, and then found a t-shirt to wear so I'm not awkwardly running around butt naked. And found more zombies downstairs. I guess the washing machine attracted them, so had to take care of all these. And it just seemed like it never ended. After them, I found this one, and then this one, and then I found a bandana that I put on. Then I had to tend to my wounds, turned the dryer on, waited for a little bit, and it kept attracting zombies because, again, loud noises seem to do that. But I was able to heal up, stole this guy's clothes because I didn't want to be walking around butt naked. Tried to sleep, accidentally rested, so then I messed up my sleep cycle. I took care of my wounds again, went back downstairs, got some medicine, then finally got some sleep. The next morning I walked around until I got the notification that the note was taken, and I'll do the same thing that I did last time, which is I will display what the text says and read it. Today is heavy with the weight of yesterday. The clock struck 7:23 and it feels like another life was taken. I killed 24 and once again my body paid the price. My wounds are a constant reminder of survival's cost. Pain etched into my right upper arm, my neck and hand. I bandage, disinfect, repeat, feeling each movement as if I were being torn apart. I consumed what was left: canned corned beef, tuna, a granola bar, chocolate donut, orange soda, beef jerky, chocolate chip cookie. The taste of survival is bitter and hollow. Yesterday I also dressed myself. Gloves, dyed hair, I read engineering books, put on various clothes, and took painkillers. The routine is monotonous and the days are blurring together. The world outside is a dangerous place, so I wear my gas mask, bulletproof vest, and carry a holster. Yet, even with protection, fear lingers, a constant companion. Another day has passed, another night begins. The cycle continues, marked by blood, bandages, and the relentless march of survival. And that concludes our second and final day of this playtest and showcase. Now, clearly it's a work in progress, but I'm happy with this first iteration. I skipped a lot for the sake of brevity, and I missed a kill on the previous day. But from what I can tell, the kill count was working well, all of the food and drinks consumed were noted. The aid rendered seemed accurate, but I think moving forward I'll most likely work on the tone as it's still a bit too poetic. I also need to figure out why some of the actions didn't pull through, but again, this was more so a proof of concept, and I wanted to share it. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. This was Aware.